Yep, the burn is a huge reason why ETH could flip Bitcoin. And in this video, we're gonna talk all about it. We'll cover how it impacts ETH and what it means for those pesky gas fees as well. So for all you ETH holders watching, this video is for you. Strap in, my friend, and let's roll the intro. Looking back on 2021, I think the burn was one of the biggest events to happen in all of crypto. It was arguably the most important upgrade for Ethereum this year. And you could argue that it single-handedly made ETH double in price. But besides seeing people on crypto Twitter gush about it, I realized that not many people really understood what it is and why it's so important. So I did some digging, and my goodness, what I found made me even more confident that ETH will flip Bitcoin. Let's dive into all that, shall we? I'll share a quick recap of what it is, we'll talk some numbers, and then we'll look ahead at 2022 as well. Alright, so quick recap. We actually just call it the burn for fun, but the technical name of the upgrade is EIP 1559. And this was just one piece of a larger set of upgrades in the London hard fork. Anyways, this upgrade went live in early August, and its whole goal was to tweak and fix Ethereum's fee markets. Because before then, Ethereum used something called a blind auction system, and that made it really hard to predict how much fees we should be paying when sending transactions. That's why when you look at a graph of the fees, you would see a lot of spikes, which is not ideal. We want that to look more smoothed out. EIP 1559 did a lot of things to fix that, but one key change was that our gas fees would now be split into two components, one that went to the miners and one that was burned forever. And ladies and gentlemen, that's why the name The Burn was created, because from then on, a little bit of ETH was burned every time someone sent a transaction. Now that may sound inconsequential to you, but it actually completely changes the tokenomics of Ether. Just check out this diagram that I made to better visualize the different types of Ether, which, by the way, I got from Justin Drake's explanation on the Bankless podcast. Basically, he explains that there's three types of ETH out there in this metaphorical cylinder: solid or frozen ETH at the bottom, fluid/liquid ETH in the middle, and boiling/vaporized ETH at the very top. The bottom portion represents staked ETH, because remember, you can already stake your coins to earn additional ETH as we move towards proof of stake. The middle portion is, of course, our regular ETH that we can move around from our wallets or exchanges. And the topmost portion is the ETH that is consistently being burned by this new upgrade. The whole idea that Justin Drake explains is that right now, the liquid middle is pretty large, but as more and more ETH gets staked/burned, and as new issuance of ETH drops after the merge, that liquid middle is gonna shrink big time. And that's huge for us holders, because it's that liquid middle that represents potential selling pressure out there. So the less there is to be sold, the better. Justin Drake also ran some projections and forecasts, and based on his calculations, he has 99% confidence that ETH will be net deflationary in the future. This would be massive for us, because this means that the total supply of ETH would constantly decrease even though it has infinite inflation. That happens when there's more ETH being burned than new ETH being created for block rewards. Compare that to Bitcoin, which decreases its inflation rate over time, but it will never become deflationary. That's why some people in the ETH community say that if Bitcoin is sound money, then that means Ether must be ultrasound money. This is all pretty theoretical so far, so let's check out some cold hard numbers that we've seen so far. But before we get to that, I want to give a quick shout out to our longtime sponsors, Crypto.com. I mean, you've probably heard of them already, unless you've been in a cave or just entered the crypto world yesterday. But I've been a longtime user of their app, their interest accounts, and especially their crypto debit cards. Gotta love their debit cards. I use them all over the world, and you could top it off with a bunch of different coins. If you don't have one yet, you should sign up using my link down below, and we'll both get a $25 bonus. Alright, so back to the burn. Since going live in August, there's been over 1.2 million ETH burned, which is just over $5 billion worth. That's mind-boggling. If we look at this chart from Masari, the amount of ETH burned every month has been going up, and this chart of net issuance is dropping every month. It really looked like December was going to be the first ever net deflationary month. But alas, that's not gonna happen because so far, December has had quite a bit less ETH burned than November. All this depends on the network activity and transaction volume, by the way. The higher those are, the more ETH will be burned, generally speaking. If you want to follow these stats, there's several amazing dashboards that I'll link you below, but you could also follow the ETH burn bot on Twitter to see the hourly updates. Sometimes you'll see a negative percentage if there was more ETH burned than created, but most of the time it's still positive. This gets pretty deep, but right now, before the merge, if we want ETH to be deflationary, we need gas prices to be around 100 to 150 gwei. But after the merge, it only needs to be around 15 to 30 gwei in order to be net deflationary. And that's because the issuance through block rewards will also drop quite a bit. So that level seems really achievable given that our current lows are around 40 gwei and the average is around 80. But let's pump the brakes and stop right here and take it back to our original question, aka will all this help ETH flip Bitcoin? Well, to answer that question, let's turn to the price charts. If we look at this ETH USD chart, we see that the price started rallying right before the upgrade, and then afterwards it's been on an undeniable uptrend and looks quite strong to me. But even more telling is if we switch to this ETH BTC ratio chart, where you see ETH noticeably outperform Bitcoin in the months after the burn. It actually shocked me quite a bit because when Bitcoin dropped from like 69K to under 50K, ETH held its value surprisingly well. Usually when Bitcoin has such a large correction, ETH would get hammered much harder. If we do a little bit of math to calculate the number that the ETH BTC ratio needs to hit for the flippening, we get around 0.16. That's this line on the charts, just above the previous all-time high of this ratio back in mid-2017. We're currently about halfway there, so there's still some ways to go. But if this ratio breaks out to the upside again, it can move violently like it did before and easily break that level needed for the flippening. Personally, I buy Justin Drake's conclusion that the merge in 2022 will make ETH net deflationary. That's why I truly believe that the merge plus the burn are the catalysts needed to finally make ETH flip Bitcoin. But wait a sec, because we haven't even mentioned the 800-pound gorilla in this room, aka gas fees. Weren't these upgrades supposed to fix that? Well, actually no, because if you look closely at the details, EIP 1559 was never meant to reduce gas fees. That's actually the job of rollups and other things on the Ethereum roadmap, like sharding, for example. Fortunately, a lot of layer 2 scaling solutions are already on the rise, like Arbitrum, Optimism, and Polygon. We can use those more and more as dApps migrate over and exchanges let us withdraw directly to them. And those are great because they have super low fees and fast speeds, so I encourage you to try them out if you haven't already. Also, if you want to learn more about rollups, you definitely should watch this video I made about them. And if you're curious why I love Ethereum so much, check out this video I made right here. Anyways, I'm Kevin from Coinsider. I can't wait to see you on the next one, and cheers!